sharing session for the day. First and foremost, Alhamdulillah, the gratitude for Allah for the opportunity to conduct Ramadan sharing today. A very warm welcome to our honorable brother and sister to our sixth Ramadan sharing program. I am Afiq. Your MC for the day. Before we start, let us start our session with our kitab al-Fatiha. Dear brother and sister, for your information, Ramadan sharing is a program by the Ummah and Sejahtera KENMS Act. Inshallah will be a total of 13 sessions of this program along Ramadan. The objective of the program is Islamic knowledge and also to encourage the community to do good deeds during Ramadan. The speaker for today is Prof Dr. Ridhwan Fontaine from the Department of Business Administration. Without any further delay, please welcome our special speaker for today.
Okay. Hello. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. So I have no idea where to look because the sisters are here, the brothers are here. We have a colleague here, so it's a bit all over the place. So I apologize for that. Inshallah, today's sharing session will be about one ayat in Surah An-Nur, ayat 38. So I think many of you probably know that alhamdulillah, I converted to Islam about 30 years ago now, actually 29 years, almost 30. And when I started reading the Quran, one of the questions that I always had at the back of my mind was, is it easy or difficult to enter paradise? I know that's... Now I'm more pessimistic about entering paradise. So let me define these two words. To achieve something, but they believe that it's possible to achieve that thing. So assuming that you put in the work, inshallah, you should be able to get whatever you're trying to achieve. That's an optimistic outlook. A pessimistic person is someone who, even though he works hard, he believes that this is too difficult to achieve. So it's almost like you've been given a mission which is impossible, and deep down you know that that mission is impossible, but you've been told, try anyway. So from a psychological point of view, if you're pessimistic about something, it's very difficult to have that motivation to do anything because deep down you don't believe it's possible. If you're optimistic about something, you know that you need to work in order to achieve that goal, but at the same time you do believe that goal is achievable. And so I started reading the Quran and wanting to understand the Quran and understand whether I should be optimistic or pessimistic about. Of course, you probably realize that at the end of this talk, I'm going to say I should be optimistic. Okay, but why? Okay, now several years ago, so this is a sharing session, right? So I'm just sharing you my experience. So several years ago, I got interested in the tafsir of Quran. And in particular, there's a website which I found is very useful, which is the things about and he has like the simple version, so kind of, and I found that very invaluable. So I started literally with Surah Fatiha, and then I went surah by surah, and I reached Surah An-Nur, right, Surah 24. And Surah An-Nur is a very unusual surah in many ways. So it starts with a lot of hukum, especially about family law, and then it switches to a very spiritual ayat, which is Nur ala Nur, right, a very, very famous ayat. But 2 or 3 ayats after Nur ala Nur, so ayat number 38, The the translation in English, of course, is very lame, but anyway, we still will give the English. Allah may reward them according to the best of their deeds and increase them out of His grace, and Allah provides for whoever He wills without limit. Ayat is ahsana ma amilu. So, based on the best of what you have done, you will be rewarded for that. And so there's a long explanation from Numan Ali Khan. When I heard that explanation, I was so shocked. I went to see Dr. Ibrahim Nuhu, and I said, other part. Okay, so let me kind of give an analogy, because at the end of the day, I'm a management lecturer, right? So I have to see numbers. If I see numbers, it becomes more real. If it's just words, it's too abstract. So if you imagine a student who has to sit for 5 quizzes, right? Didn't study at all, he gets 10%. I say he, it could be a she, right? It's not just guys who underperform. Sometimes sisters also do a bad job. So she is like, anyway, gender neutral. So first quiz, 10%. Second quiz, 10%. Third quiz, also 10%. Fourth quiz, 10%. Obviously, the student has really done nothing. But he has gone for quiz. And then you did really badly in 4 quizzes. Sorry, dude, you failed. What does is takes the best result, that 80%, and upgrades all the rest. That's incredible. I've known this for a while, right? A long time. Explain and verbalize. It's unbelievable. It's just, which is, so you pray 5 times a day, multiply by 365 days during the year. That's 1,825 prayers in a year. Now assume that you become baligh at the age of 15, and you pray for 50 years, and you die at the age of 65. So in your lifetime, you will have prayed 91,250 salat. You take the best out of these 91,250 salat, and you upgrade the rest. So this is how I understand the ayat. And as I said, I checked and I talked to people. So you can be somewhere in your 60s, and you have reached an age where you're very spiritual, you have like full khushu and everything in your salat. And your prayers when you were in your 20s, when you were in UIA, they all get upgraded. That's amazing. Now, I actually discovered Surah An-Nur. At that time, my mother-in-law was in hospital. And she was in ICU for 30 days. And for those 30 days, my routine was coming back from work, go straight to hospital. And of course, it's ICU, so only 2 people at a time can go inside ICU. So most of the time, you're waiting outside, you're reading Quran, it's time to pray, you're praying. One thing about that experience is khushu is not a problem. When someone that you love very dearly is about to die, nothing else matters. And so actually, my parents are still alive. You will all have that experience. You will all have that experience where someone that you love very, very, very dearly is going to pass away, and your salat is going to be like the most amazing, and everything gets upgraded. Okay? Now, if you start looking at other parts of the Quran, the rewards for Tawbah is amazing. I'm thinking about the end of Surah Al-Furqan. It's mind-blowing. The reward for being patient, the reward for helping other people, the rewarding for forgiving one another. All of these opportunities, and I've obviously missed a lot, but all of these opportunities are just opportunities after opportunities after opportunities, and our rewards just get multiplied and multiplied, multiplied, multiplied. Okay? Now, obviously, we cannot take things for granted. And even though I'm deviating off topic a little bit, I don't want to give you a false confidence either. So one of the tricks of shaitan is you have a sin that you cannot abandon. And then you start saying to yourself, oh, well, if Allah rewards or multiplies all my rewards, I don't have to bother about this sin. No, you have to abandon that sin. Not like, I mean, some of you are in my class, so you know that one issue that internet pornography. So let's imagine someone is watching internet pornography. Don't say, okay, well, at least I do that my salat, so I can continue. No, you have to stop this. Okay, so you have to make the effort of stop whatever sins you are doing, even though we know that is practically very difficult, but you have to go through that. But assuming that you're doing the best that you can and you're sincere in your relationship with Allah, my conclusion is we have to be optimistic. For paradise, and everybody else, tough luck. It's really hard to explain in just a few minutes, but the conversation that I had with Dr. Ibrahim was actually very profound. Because when I discovered this ayat on Surah An-Nur, I asked him the question, which talks about ayat like this. Like a lot of the khutbah tends to be very negative. And he said something, I can't exactly remember how he said it, but he said something like, in the old days, the khutbah would have been about thing, if deep down you believe that thing is possible. Okay? Now, a couple of things that I want to finish with in my conclusion. First of all, you have to have a goal to enter paradise. Okay, I had this amazing conversation with a teenager a few years ago, and I asked him, what is your goal in life? And he said, oh, I want to be a doctor. And he said a few things. And I said, what about paradise? It's like, what? That should be the first thing on your minds. That should be the first things on your mind. Your career, everything else, family, that's secondary, because that's what you do in order to achieve paradise. But there's really only, we have the other place. And you won't enter one or the other accident. It's a choice. Okay? And then once you have made that goal, then you have to make the effort. But you make the effort having the confidence that whatever you do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you in ways that you cannot imagine. Literally, that's what the ayat says. And maybe you are at an age where, alhamdulillah, a lot of you are still very young. And maybe you're at the age where you don't feel very religious. It doesn't work like that. But again, what this ayat says is, and then you have reached an age where you become much more spiritual, then all the things that you did that was good become upgraded. It's really hard to talk about this subject because it's subhanahu wa ta'ala is in terms of rewarding us for our deeds. You know, we hear this all the time in khutbah and tazkirah. And when you hear it, it's one thing, but when you try to explain it to someone else, it's a completely different experience. And you realize that your words actually fail you. So maybe the best thing to do is for you to, as individuals, to get to know Surah An-Nur. Surah An-Nur is a very amazing, first of all, just from a point of view of adab. So a lot of Surah An-Nur is about visiting other people and how you interact with, for example, the other gender. So to understand and think about. And then there's, of course, a very spiritual ayat. Then you have this ayat. And then the rest of the Surah Nur is also very beautiful. So maybe that can kind of become one of your personal projects to understand Surah Nur in some detail. Okay? Even though I feel what I've done is like 38, Surah An-Nur. Okay, and again, the key word in the ayat is ahsana ma amilu. Right, we get rewarded for the best of what we have done. Okay, thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. I don't know if there's any questions. A talk where there's no questions. So, do I take it off? Da?
Thank you.
Okay.